Writing. With the advancement of technology, emails have become an important communication tool. A well-written email not only carries the intended message, but also the impression and image of the email sender. It is important to follow email etiquettes, so that one is not judged negatively. Good email writing skill is important for the professionals to succeed in their career. This module on email writing is about how to write an email, and apply best practices to create an impact. Learning objectives. At the end of this module, you will be able to understand the basics of email writing, explain the structural elements of an email, list the basic principles of writing emails, list the best practices of writing emails. Internet being the most used medium for communication, emails have become an important tool in all business communication. Email allows you to communicate with people and transfer files from one place to another rapidly. You can communicate with people from all over the world, just with the press of the send button. There are many issues regarding use of emails. These include computer security and email security. There are other issues like personal security, company liability and viruses too. In an office, the email system is meant to be used for business use, but some companies do allow private use of emails. It is better to be aware of your company's policy regarding emails and security issue. When to use an email. Not all business communications are done through emails. The following conditions are appropriate for an email communication. The communication involves a person who is difficult to contact through a telephone, or is not working in office premises. 2. The person to be contacted lives in other geographical area of the country or world. The type of information is not time-bound because it is not necessary that the response to email is instantaneous. An electronic file has to be sent, for example, files for a training course, a proposal or report, data for analysis, etc. Information that has to be sent quickly, to large number of people. For example, an internal mail to employees of the company. Information for which a written record is required, for e.g., a receipt for service or product, email communication that can be referred back to, etc. When not to use an email. Emails are not suitable for all types of communication. Emails should not be used as a communication tool when the information is elaborate and needs explanation and discussions, which are best done in a meeting. For example, emails should not be used when asking feedback from your managers or when asking questions to your clients which may require lengthy explanations of the product or services. The information is not to be shared with a third person. Confidential matters are better discussed in a meeting and not through emails. The information is emotionally charged and can be misunderstood. Emails should not be used to say things which cannot be told through face-to-face meeting. Note: a backup copy of your email is always stored on a server and easily retrieved when required. Even deleted emails can be retrieved. Email ID. An email ID is the unique identification of the recipient. Most professionals have a company email ID. Subject line. The subject line should be clear and concise, because when someone scans through an email, the only thing he or she read is the subject line. This helps the recipient to decide whether to open, forward, file or trash a message. Tips for a good subject line. The subject line should be a summarized one-liner of your email message. The subject line should be kept short. In cases where people have small text display on email reader, long subject lines get truncated, giving incomplete meaning. Emails should not be sent with empty subject line. Hi or hello should not be used as subject lines, unless the purpose is to say hello. Greetings. The first line of the email should be an appropriate greeting. It should be followed by an empty line, and then the message body. Opening. The first paragraph of an email is the most important piece, and should be carefully drafted. Based on the first paragraph, the receipt decides whether to keep reading the mail, or trash it. CC field. Persons in the CC field are not the intended recipients, and the email is meant only for their information. FYI, for your information, they are not expected to reply to the email. Signatures. Signatures are used at the end of the email, to signify the sender's name, position and contact details. Some basic principles have to be followed for writing an effective email. Subject line. The subject line is the first thing any recipient reads. Tips for a good subject line. The subject line should be a summarized one-liner of your email message. The subject line should be kept short. In cases where people have small text display on email reader, long subject lines get truncated, giving incomplete meaning. Emails should not be sent with empty subject line. Hi or hello should not be used as subject lines, unless the purpose is to say hello. Greeting. When emailing first time to somebody, it is better to use hi, name, rather than dear, name. Dear should be used for people whom you already know. Be careful with salutations when sending emails to people in different countries or of different culture. Titles may be different for men and women, and may be difficult to tell which you are addressing. Some cultures prefer to keep family names as the first name, which may not be the case with others. To be on a safer side, use Ms. instead of Miss or Mrs. Opening. The opening should be in accordance with the inverted pyramid style. The first paragraph or the opening should be concise and to the point. It should give the most important information first. If the email is long, the first paragraph should give an overview of the entire message. Inverted pyramid style approach means that the most important information should feature first, and the less important information should come secondary based on the order of their importance. It helps the reader to get the most important information first, and decide whether to read on. This approach also helps to keep the email short and to the point. 2. And CC fields. Persons included in the to field are intended recipients, and should reply if the message requires them to reply. Persons in the CC field are not the intended recipients, and the email is meant only for their information. FYI, for your information. They are not expected to reply to the email. It should be made clear if a particular recipient should reply, or all the recipients of the emails should reply. For example, Ramesh, could you make the necessary arrangements for the client meeting? Or I would like everybody's suggestion on the venue for next get-together. When the email has been marked to many recipients, there is a possibility that nobody replies, thinking that the other person might have already replied. In this case, it is better to use reply to all, so that everyone knows that the reply has been sent and therefore does not duplicate the information. Signature. The signature should be updated as and when any piece of contact information changes. Example, the phone number. Use of artwork, philosophical sayings, jokes, and/or quotations is permissible, but should not be overdone. The signature should be kept under or at 5 lines. The signature should be changed every once in a while. Attachments. Avoid attachments. Rather, copy-paste the content in the email, if possible. Attachments may consume bandwidth and may contain viruses. Attachments may be difficult to open if the emails are viewed on a mobile or require special software to open. Attachments should be sent only when necessary. Large attachments should be compressed. All attachments should be scanned for virus before sending. Replies. Emails should be replied to promptly, at least within 24 hours or the same working day. If the email is complicated and giving a reply would take time, acknowledge the receipt, and convey that you would get back to them within a short time. When you reply an email with an attachment, and want the attachment to go along with your email, it is better to forward the message than to reply or replying all. If you use the reply or reply all button, the attachment would not be included in the email. You should not forward or reply to virus hoaxes and chain letters. Chain letters uses your valuable bandwidth, whereas the virus hoaxes may contain the virus themselves. If you reply to spam or unsubscribe, it means that your email IDs live. It would promote more spams. Therefore, these should be deleting rather than replying. Before replying, evaluate if email is the right medium. Emotionally charged situations should not be handled through emails. A one-to-one meeting is better. Personal use of emails and security. When using emails for personal matters, you should be careful as it is not a secure medium. If you don't want to make your personal information public, then don't include the details in the email. Legal risks of emails. Email is a business tool, and should be used with utmost care and responsible manner. It should not contain any libelous material, as the email can be used against the sender and the company. Any content that you don't want everybody to know should not be included in an email, as even deleted mails can be retrieved. You need to be careful that you do not send emails that offend another person. Listed below are some items that outline the legal risks of email. Your emails can reflect your professional attitude. Therefore, be careful when writing and sending emails. Profile your audience. The email communication should be based on the type of audience you are addressing to. The content, tone and language of the email should be adapted to the context of the email communication and to the target audience. It is better to know the reader before you start writing. The email communication would be different when you write to a colleague or a friend from what you write to your senior people in management. Be careful when using acronyms, technical language and even humor. It may all mean different to different people. Keep the content short. All important information should be kept at the top of the email body, if possible at the subject line. Any key piece of information should not be buried in a large chunk of information. Keep the paragraphs short. If the paragraphs are big, it is likely that the reader may miss a particular point you are trying to make. After you have given the most important information, keep the rest of the email short, limited to up to 8 sentences maximum. Do not put sentences that do not contribute to your message. The objectives of an email message is to have the recipient read it and respond in a short period of time. Therefore, the emails should be as short as possible to help the readers comprehend it. Focused and action-oriented message. As a part of the human nature, email recipients tend to read half of the long message and reply as soon as they find something to write back, and thus forget reading further. Therefore, if there are multiple messages in the email which are loosely related, it is a good idea to number them, so that the reader goes through each of them, and does not just replies to the first one that he gets to see. Tell the readers what they need to do: reply, not reply, or further action. Some examples are given below. Using appropriate language. Do not use smiles when addressing to seniors. It indicates a casual attitude. Abbreviations should be used with caution. It is better to avoid abbreviations like BTW for by the way, LOL for laughing out loud in professional emails. Non-standard punctuation and spellings like gimme for give me, THT, that, difficult, will, should not be used in business communications. These shortcuts indicate friendly intimacy and are only meant to be used with friends and near ones. Do not use all caps. It means that you are shouting, even if you don't intend to do so. Active voice should be used instead of passive voice. For example, We will take care of your request today is better than your request will be taken care of today. Editing your email. Editing an email is essential to remove unnecessary words and make the message more compact. When editing, remove unnecessary conjunctions like and, but, etc., unnecessary words that do not contribute to the main point, and unnecessary punctuation like commas. Proofreading your message. Before hitting the send button, take an extra minute to proofread your email. Proofread for spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. Poor spelling and grammar indicates a lack of attention to detail, giving out wrong message about yourself and the way you do business. Emails with incorrect spellings and grammar mistakes create a bad impression about the sender and his company. Do not rely on spell checkers. It may catch few typing errors, but not all spelling and grammatical mistakes. The right tone of emails. For most business emails, a professional yet conversational tone is the most effective. Also, the email tone should be according to the position and level of the recipient in the organization. The emails should be polite and positive. An email with criticism, disrespect, or negativity may generate resistance in the reader. Impolite and negative mails tend to sound abrupt and angry. Some examples are given below. In this module, you have learned the basics of email writing, the structural elements of an email, the basic principles of writing emails, the best practices of writing emails,